Is IVF immoral? This is a really deep question and something that we need to be speaking about so much more in today's day and age. I know, and I want to acknowledge that this is a really sensitive topic. There are so many of you that are going to watch this video that have babies that have been born through IVF. And one message that I really want to convey to you is that your baby is born through IVF are still a blessing, despite the things that we are going to talk about. This is not speaking to the validity or what your children deserve. That's not the point. The point is to educate so that we can have a deep conversation. And if this video feels triggering to you at all, I really encourage you to just take a deep breath, take a step back, and remember, we're just here to learn, to deepen our understanding, and sometimes we can make different decisions later when we learn new information. So I'd really love to dive into this topic with you and discuss some of the ways in which I feel that IVF is immoral. To clarify, yes, this conversation that I am going to share with you is deeply rooted in my faith, but it's also rooted in morality and just basic respect for life. Let's start with IVF and how IVF separates the marital act from conception of life. The teaching of the Bible is that children should be conceived through the loving union of a husband and wife. And when IVF comes to play, we're removing that union. We are creating babies in a petri dish in a lab. We're playing God, for lack of better terms, right? And that's not our job. Furthermore, the Catechism of the Catholic Church states in CCC 2376-77 how IVF violates human dignity and God's design for procreation. Another morality issue with IVF is that IVF involves the destruction of human life. So one of the goals in most IVF cycles is to create as many embryos as we possibly can. Why? Because it's cheaper and it's less invasive, if you will. It's less procedures that a female has to go through. If we can harvest as many eggs the first time we go in as possible, we can fertilize as many of those eggs as possible and create as many embryos as possible so that we only have to go through that process once. So now we have all of these embryos, an excess of embryos, right? So we're going to grade them and we're going to take the best graded embryos and we are going to transfer those embryos in hopes of implantation. Now, if there are extra embryos left over that we are not using in that cycle, what do we do with them? We either discard them or we put them in the freezer. Oftentimes, those embryos, those babies, that human life is stuck in a freezer and frozen indefinitely in time because understandably so, parents don't want to thaw their babies and kill them. Each embryo is human life, and discarding an embryo is equivalent to murder or abortion. And the Bible alone teaches that life begins at the moment of conception and is our duty as Christians and just as human beings to protect life and its sanctity. Another way that we could look at an immorality in IVF is treating children as commodities. It is putting the desires and wants of adults over the needs of a child. Instead of seeing a child as a gift from the Lord, it turns children into a product that can be technologically made. On this same note, there's pre-implantation genetic screening, PGS, which, again, I alluded to this a few minutes ago, allows the embryos to be graded or scaled and chosen based on desirability. So this leads us to a conversation about designer babies in choosing that we want to have a girl with blue eyes and blonde hair over a little boy with brown eyes and brown hair, or whatever your desires are, right? That creates a commoditization of children. IVF exploits women and turns fertility into a business. It's estimated that the IVF big fertility is a $25 to $50 billion industry. $billion, right? This falls in the same category as big pharma and big ag and big food and all of the other big businesses that are what they are here in the United States. Ways in which IVF is exploiting women is it's risky. Egg retrieval is very risky. It's requiring doses of hormone-altering drugs that don't just affect women for the periods of time where they're taking these drugs. It affects women for decades to come, long after their babies are born. Surrogacy is another way in which women can be exploited in this IVF world, treating their wombs as a service or something that can be bought and paid for. Again, putting the desires of an adult over the needs of a child. To have a child grow and develop in the womb of a mother and have that bond ripped away from the child, that's exploiting to both the woman and the child. So if you've been told that IVF is the only option for you, I really encourage you to dig deep. If you have that intuition or that gut feeling, the Holy Spirit telling you that IVF is not the option for you and your doctors are telling you IVF is the only way to go, I just want to be here with you today and really encourage you that you're on the right path. There's a reason that you're feeling that inkling in your body. There's a reason that you're feeling maybe something isn't right here. Maybe I need to look into something else. As somebody that's walked through 4 years of infertility myself, I know how long and painful and lonely this journey can be, especially when you feel like IVF is your only option, but you know you're morally opposed and that's not an option for you. It can leave you feeling like you have no other options and you're never going to reach your desires of motherhood. So I just want to encourage you today that that's not always true. In fact, it's rarely true. So if you have that feeling that you know there's a different way, you want to find the way, I really encourage you to reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Leave a comment below, reach out to me on Instagram, DM me fertility, and let's see how we can support you.